Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzawa. Let's bring you the top stories we're tracking for you right now. President Tinubu says the nation's partnership with global energy technology company Siemens is in progress, cites challenges of current power infrastructure during his meeting with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier at the Villa. All Progressives Congress governors and other party leaders show support for the president's economic policies following the criticism over the current economic hardship and headwinds. And Lagos State government aspires to scale up power distribution from less than 1,000 megawatt-hour to over 3,000 megawatt-hour in 2 to 3 years, following Governor Sanwo-Olu's assent to the state electricity law. We'll find out how that will happen on the program. Thanks again for joining us on the program. It's your midday gateway into the polity. Let's begin the tracking of that polity with a thumbs up for the president by the governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, members of the National Assembly and heads of key government establishments throwing their weight behind President Tinubu over his economic policies. Addressing the media shortly after the meeting behind closed doors in Abuja, the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, says the meeting is to strengthen support for the APC national government.
I want to protect this place.
We had a caucus meeting for our party. It's a family meeting. We discussed how to manage our midterm congress and then how to strengthen our party and support Mr. President to succeed. That's all. Thank you.
And away from that, President Bola Tinubu, as the country's chief salesman, says Nigeria and Germany have started their plans to strengthen their relationship between both countries and build partnership that will help fulfill and reward the two countries and her citizens. President Tinubu said this after his meeting with the president of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who was on a state visit to the presidential villa. He also assured his guests that Nigeria is open for business and reforms are working very well, while commenting on the progress with the power sector development.
Our business doors are open and our reforms are working very well, being business friendly. That's what we have discussed. We plan to strengthen the relationship and build partnership that is fulfilling and rewarding to the two countries. The Siemens Energy is working very hard. It's promoting the partnership unhindered. Nigeria being a nation in a hurry, we want a magical response. But don't forget, various transmission lines is over 50, 60 years old.
In his response, President Steinmeier appreciates Nigeria's natural resources and explains how Germany's technology can strengthen and support the country's power sector.
There's a lot of sun in Nigeria, and Germany has the necessary technology. So this makes us perfect partners. We're happy that Nigeria is Germany's second largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa, but there is great potential, even greater potential. There's greater opportunities, and we want to tap into this potential in the coming years.
Well, we're not done with the issue of power. The Minister of Power, Mr. Debayo Adelabo, has emphasized the importance of collaboration with Germany as Nigeria works to achieve its energy transition plan and electricity stability in the country. The minister stated this while speaking with journalists after the state visit of the President of Germany to the State House in Abuja. He said significant progress has been made in the Presidential Power Initiative.
We have completed the pilot phase of this project up to 80%. This involves the importation, the installation, and commissioning of 10 power transformers and 10 power mobile substations. They've been imported, they've been installed, and lots of them have been commissioned. We have just about 2 left to be commissioned before the end of the year. The positive impact of this is that it has added nothing less than 750 megawatts to our transmission grid capacity, which is why the relative stability that we are seeing in the grid today is a direct positive impact of the pilot stage completion. So, and we believe that before the end of the year, additional 150 megawatts capacity is going to be added on completion of the entire pilot phase. And we are quite confident from the satisfaction that we got from the implementation of the pilot stage. By the time we are done with the phase 1 project in the transmission, the entire grid will not remain the same. And that's why we're telling Nigerians that this is a very old grid, it's quite fragile, and it's dilapidating. We need to revamp the entire grid for us to be sure of stability going forward. That is the Presidential Power Initiative.
All right, power is quite crucial. With the issue of grid collapsing here now and again, you are already familiar with what's going on in the power sector. That's why this conversation is very important. And Lagos is actually doing something. The other day, the governor signed into law the Lagos State Electricity Law, signed the bill into law. It's called the Lagos State Electricity Law. Let's take a listen to his remarks after signing that into law.
We want, at the end of the day, for Lagosians to be the full beneficiary of what this bill is about. For our citizens to be able to look at us 1 year, 2 years down the line and say that, Mr. Governor, Mr. Lagos State, Mr. House of Assembly, all of the operators, you have earned our support. You have earned our trust. You guys have done what has eluded us for several decades. We all can see lights, affordable, accessible, all around our state. That is the main objective. An objective where we want to improve and develop, the energy infrastructure of our states. And once we do that, we know what it will transform into economic benefit of the citizens, into, ensuring that people can have, better security network in terms of, making Lagos a true 21st century economy, not being scared or worried about, lights, or illumination in some part of the city or not. But more importantly, for small businesses that do not need to have 3 different energy sources. You have a backup or a backup to a backup.
All right, he wants to take out the backup to a backup to a backup. I know you know what he means by that in terms of generators and all of that. That's Governor Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos, talking about the Lagos Electricity Law. So for the purpose of reference for everybody, before now, the federal government controls power generation, power distribution, and of course, power transmission. But now the law has changed, and there's a new Electricity Act 2023, which now empowers states to have power generation, power distribution, and power transmission, and power distribution. But there are rules to all of this, how it works. The federal government can still have theirs, but it's more inter-country and even the damming licenses. So first, the state will establish what they call the electricity market and then establish their own state electricity regulatory commission like the national one called NEC. They will notify NEC that this is what we have done. NEC in 45 days, according to section 20 according to Section 230 of the Electricity Act, will now say to the discos, incorporate yourself as a subsidiary, and all of that will now be passed on to the state in terms of the asset liabilities, as well as the staff and everything in between, apart from anything that has to do with debt and fraud and all of that, according to that law, Section 232 to like 9. So we have the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources in Lagos State joining us. Mr. Gule Biodun, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Such a great pleasure to be with you.
So you're going to break it down. Lagos is an important hub. We call it the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. So Lagos is quite critical. So when I read the document that the governor, that you presented during that whole exercise, the aspiration is to the effect that Lagos wants to move beyond 1,000 to like 3,000 megawatts.
Yep.
To cover all the expanse of the gaps that is now present. That's between 2 to 3 years. We're going to come to that detail. But as far as your domestication, if you will, or decentralization of the power sector down to Lagos is concerned, what stage are you? Because we spoke with NEC. NEC says that process has been completed for Enugu, Ekiti, and Ondo. Where is Lagos?
As of today, Lagos has applied. We're putting the necessary application for us, for NEC, to relinquish regulatory responsibility oversight for Lagos area. And because of the unique nature of the Lagos area and all that, there are proposed meetings for next week. And in the course of that meeting, we are going to be coming up with fine-tuning a lot of details about how the very next step on that part. But what is important is that Lagos has commenced the journey. The bill is out there, and then we're already engaging with NEC, and we look forward to once that engagement with NEC comes to a closure, NEC will release the necessary documentation that now ensures that Lagos is able to now fully start taking the steps towards taking over regulatory responsibility for the electricity market that the bill created in the Lagos area.
So that basically means now Lagos can generate, transmit, and distribute.
Correct. But let me quickly
contextualize.
Let me quickly ensure that I correct that. Lagos can, but Lagos may not. Lagos will enable the environment to ensure that we have enough capacity generated by the private sector, enabled by us, ensure that there is a market for what is generated, and there are wires and line businesses that are able to help us take those generated electrons to our various homes, where there will be retailers ensuring that 24/7 we're able to recharge and our lights can stay on all around the clock.
The whole idea, I guess, for the federal government is to spread the decentralized, literally, to the fact that there can be more efficiency. I want to talk about the readiness of Lagos State, whether Lagos is really ready, given what is going on at the national level as a challenge in terms of electricity, even distribution at the end of the day. So these are some of the things the document talked about, the key provisions. Maybe you walk us through some of these things as an explainer, if you will. Okay,
thank you very much. Let me start by saying that we got to the point where electricity was centralized about 73 years ago. Okay, we used to have the then ECN, which transformed to ultimately NEPA and PACN. Yeah, we had all that as part of the background history we need to deal with. So the federal government, in its wisdom, let go of regulatory responsibility for electricity. So what we are trying to do, first and foremost, is to ensure that everything about licensing and all that is required is investor friendly. We know of a certainty that a lot of capital is required to get this done. And the only way we can get that capital out there is to make sure that all investors have a line of sight to their cash flow. So the bill created about 5 different institutions. So one of the, yes, good. The bill created 5 institutions. Now, this institution, the independent system operator that has both a network operator and a market operator, will ensure that market contracts are resolved here. The same way you have the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the same way you have the interbank platform. That is what these guys will be doing, ensuring that there are no hidden cash flow anywhere. If you have genuinely generated and you have transmitted, you should get rewarded for what you have done.
More like your return on investment.
Correct.
Because that is also a challenge with the president. But the whole challenge right now is to the effect that the discos are struggling. In fact, I stand to be corrected. I think it was Senator Shomole that was saying that this whole privatization thing has failed. Because at the beginning, we understand it was a question of people doing people a favor, getting licenses for capacity they don't have. Now you're going to take that responsibility as a state, just like every other state in Nigeria has the opportunity to do so based on the Electricity Act. What are you putting in place that you don't go the way of the national?
The first thing we are putting in place is to say to ourselves, as much as possible, we will take the least cost approach in all that we do. The second thing we are putting in place is to ensure that there is 100% metering in our system. The third thing that is coming on board is a true market that there will be willing buyer, willing sellers. Operators will be able to operate in such a way that they have line of sight to cash flow, they're able to invest, and they can cash out of their investment from time to time at their own pace.
Give us a dashboard of what the Lagos market looks like. How many people have meters in Lagos? In terms of, because that's also the concern, that's the issue we raised with NEC, in terms of consumer enumeration. How many people averagely are metered? Because if you can't guarantee that, you can't guarantee my return on investment if I'm an investor.
Okay. I want to be careful on this question.
Because it's an important question.
Yes, and I need to be very careful because you and I know the fact. And the fact is that metering has also been done historically since 1980-something. There's been various metering improvement programs. Now, a lot of meters have been installed, but how much customer coverage have we achieved with those metering exercises? Those are questions that we cannot answer at this point in time. So, by breaking down the market and allowing retailers to come on board, we are able to say, you won't allow anybody in the small network that you are controlling, you won't allow any free rider. I won't allow to. So, the devil is always in the details. So, by also insisting that the law was clear, once the market has taken off and your area has been cleaned up, if the provider in your area failed to provide you with meters, you are free to enjoy your supply the way you want it.
Is it free of charge?
If he does not supply you meter. That's what the law says.
That's what this law in the Lagos State electricity law
says.
Okay, I wanted you to repeat that so that people will hear.
That is what the law says. So the investment must start from ensuring that networks are cleaned up and meters are positioned. So we'll take it segment by segment. We'll clean up the network and we'll install meters. And then the discourse will decide, can they carry out that level of investment and put that number of meters and be able to monitor that number of meters. If they are not, we will now be able to have more people coming.
So this means that we're going to have beyond the Ikeja electricity and Eko electricity.
You have more operators, definitely.
Okay. I read the document and I found out that if as an investor, it looks quite enticing. So there's a projection of Lagos saying we're going to go beyond 1,000 megawatts. We're going to go to 3,000. There's also the scale in terms of profit margin to 20 to 30% in the long run or midterm of 2 to 3 years. But I couldn't see in terms of tariff what the target is for the consumer like me. Those document looks like, okay, great for the investor, but for me as a consumer of electricity, I want cheaper power. I want more affordable. The governor says he wants more affordable power. So what is the projection in the future? For band A, band B, are you going to also continue this band series?
Okay, you have asked like 3 questions in a row. So permit me to take it one by one. If you observe carefully, we have set out and we call our market the Clean Lagos Electricity Market. And we are very deliberate. Why is it clean? We are introducing a lot of renewables. Renewables come with a lot of upfront cost, but lower operating cost downstream. That enables us to blend the final prices that are coming to consumers like you. To the extent that the first objective is to make sure that everyone has supply. It's difficult for me, because I don't know the direction of the exchange rate, to be able to tell you today, expect prices will be at this level by the end of next year or by 2030.
Ms. Abiodun, I'm going to hold you on that particular question for a bit. The reason, because when we ask this critical question that trickles down to the consumer, those of you who are policymakers seem to, give us not too complete answers. But that is what the consumer wants to see at the end of the day. For instance, PMS price. So give us an average. I could see your average. People want affordable fuel.
Let me finish my... let me finish. Let me try and outline what Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said we should ensure we get done.
Okay.
You see, the sector is import dependent. He has created hubs for us to have local manufacturing of components that are going into the sector. So we are saying, if you are a cable manufacturer, a meter manufacturer, you have capacity to repair meters, a lot of the things that we have to take abroad for the sector. Hey, come into Lagos, come into the ministry, we enable your business. So by so doing, we're able to bring down the cost of those items, and we localize their cost. So the first strategy is localize cost. All right? The second strategy is engage as much renewables as possible so that we fix the prices of a lot of those components. And then thirdly, we are going to ensure that as much as possible, net metering and other platforms that will enable the market to have access to productions that are not priced at ongoing current prices as are available.
So a few more questions, not one more. We have just maybe 3 more minutes or 4 more minutes to the end of the show. There is a practice that Nigerians are not comfortable with. I am speaking on behalf of Nigerians. Unsolicited migration. I just wake up and they migrated me from band A to band B. And when we ask NEC seems to say that is not an elective decision for the consumer, because they do their assessment and know who needs what. Is Lagos State now controlling the regulatory element when all of this is completed, going to follow in that trajectory as well? Because that's a concern.
The modalities will be different. The KPIs, I will measure what makes you band A or band B. There's even no need for any banding, because the plan is...
I'm going to hold you to that.
No, there's no need for any banding. The plan is your network is improved, you are guaranteed improved whatever, you have improved service level, you have meters, all right? You are not getting services, you are simply not getting services. But the cost of that improvement and the cost of the supply you are getting is priced in at the market rate. So what we are doing now is to ensure that customers have what we call enough education on demand side management related activities. We are going to be very strong on that.
Lagos may be a one-city state, but it has some areas that are not as developed as other areas. So is there a plan for the people in the maybe at the outskirts, not the Lekkis, not the Ikeja centers, other community areas? Because some of these people may not be able to afford the price or the costs of electricity if we put everybody on the same pedestal, which I know is not possible.
Okay, I remember our deputy was very strong on this one. That is Mr. Obafemi Amzat was very strong on this one. And the issue is this. Hey, there are locations that are not well served or not served. We need to go beyond that assumption that the whole of Lagos is urban Lagos. So, number one, the law provide for funds to take care of the needs of those places that we cannot serve or have grid extended to them economically. The law provided for that one. Those funds are there. That's the electrification fund. Now, the law also provided for mini grids, for all manner of interventions in those type of areas. So, yes, there will be studies done to confirm that this is the best way to service you. Once we get to that best way to service you, you should be able to also enjoy supply at a commensurate price.
So everybody's factored in. Talk to us about this host community development trust fund, where you says licensed power generating companies must allocate 2% of the previous year's operating expenses to developing their host communities. Because this is, if it's not managed well, it's crisis in waiting. The PIA is an example of what we're talking about. So I guess this was borrowed from the PIA. Talk to us about that.
No, it's not. For Lagos, the funds are going into a trust company that based on the law that is controlled and is targeted at ensuring that the needs of the host communities are met. So it's not a jamboree. It's not a funds that host community can come and start can access directly like that. There must be projects that they can point to.
So who monitors to ensure that the companies operating do what they should do before the communities react?
Number one, the government is representing them.
Okay.
Number two, the host communities too will have leaders and all that should also monitor what government is doing.
Mr. Abiodun Ogunleye is the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources in Lagos State. And of course, this is an ongoing conversation. We have to bring you to explain, because this is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. If Lagos gets it wrong, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But we must thank you for coming on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to the day, not only more engagement, but the day when we're all going to say, oh, I've not experienced any blackouts in this city over the last 1 month and 1 year. You have promised us with that document that you can achieve that in 2 to 3 years. So that's what we're holding you for. Thank you very much. We brought you here to curate it as a record against the government. Thank you, Mr. Abiodun. Thank you. Thank you. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.